Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun. Okay, Nick Collier here, and staying consistent with my policy of using up all the steel I got laying around, which there is plenty. We have taken apart last June or so. We disassembled. Hang on, let me show you the area. We're going to kind of, well, actually, you can kind of see it already. But that area back there, especially where that window is right there, there was a big kiln sitting right there, not as big as my fingers by any means, but certainly about 6 feet tall. And it sat there for years, and I never used it. So last summer, we disassembled it, torches and crowbars, and the bricks are sitting outside of the building over behind that wall there. And the steel, by the way, is right here. So I'm recycling this angle iron, which was what held the kiln together. And there's a couple of tabs that I got to cut off, and other sorts of things. But let's get started. Let's make sure we're in the right position. We're almost in the right position. Okay, let's go. I'm just going to cut them off by hand here. Cool. Now I've got the 3 other legs cut. So now what we're doing is measuring and getting a shadow of this leg. Oh, no, we just need to cut one side first. Let's see here. The one side we're going to cut is over here, and that's going to be at this angle here. We will just cut it about like, oh no, let's cut it right at the top. At that angle, is that correct? I need the mirror image of this. So the mirror image would be this angle. All right. We'll cut that. And we're cutting it at about, I don't know, 10 degrees or something like that. All right, that one's cut. Now we'll bring this over. Make sure it's the mirror image of this side. And I believe it is, although it's cut really rough. And then we're going to go for the mirror image of this side, which will be, right on that cut line, damn it. So it will be about right there. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, done deal. We've got 4 legs. We got a little bit of cleanup work to do on them. If you notice, there's some old welds and some mess ups. Another weld there, but you know, that's minor. So these are sitting over here waiting, and we're going to move into another kind of cutting here. We'll be back. Okay, so right now we have to make the 5-inch wide platform for the roller to sit on so that I can weld the legs to it. And this piece of 1/2 inch should do the trick. I'm going to cut this a little bit further in because at some point or another I may just be able to use this piece here. And that gives us, I think that's going to give us what we want. 5 inches will take us over to there. Yes. So let's just cut this and see how it goes. Okay, we got 2 pretty good size holes to drill, but I'm going to do some starter holes here because I want to get them fairly accurate, and I've got it center punched, so oh, this isn't going to work. This thing's going about 2 miles an hour here. Okay, we're going to drill 2 holes in this. And we've got our center punch, and we've got a little pilot hole going there. So now we'll just drop down. All right, well, we got 1 drilled. Come back around, catch the second one. That looks good. Let me go find a drill bit. Be right back. Okay, we've got her slowed down. We're going to drill a 1/2 inch hole, and I think that's where we'll end up. Okay, 2 1/2 inch holes. We'll take it over to the other bench. Okay, time to weld the legs to the plate, and that's a pretty simple operation here. And I'm just going to kind of wing it, hoping that we have the right angles and everything all set to go. Let's get ground hooked up first. Let's find... We're going to bring this in. Someplace right in there. Whoops, that's not good. Something about right like that. Around the other side. Make sure we're set up still. I think we are. pretty good so far. Well, I don't know what kind of metal this is, and as usual, it's recycled. So, and it's harder than regular steel because I can't get my welder to stick to it. So I'm going to take a different tact here. We're going to arc weld it in. You know, we're not going to fully weld it. We're just going to tack it in so that I can bend these legs the way I want them to go. So for now, we got the arc welder ready. Put a different rod in. Hat, helmet, glove. Let's put our first piece up. It's going to go something like this and a little bit angled like that. And I think that's going to do what we want it to do. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit closer. Well, I think what we're going to have to do here is build ourselves a jig. That seems like the key factor. We'll just get rid of that. This looks pretty good, but I want it to come out a little further. Something like that. That's the angle I'm looking for. So, all right, so what we're going to do is just build something onto here that'll kind of hold this in place, and we'll know where it needs to sit. Okay, so we got all our legs straightened out, and don't ask me how because it was fairly complicated. I used a little jig like this and brought the leg up against the edge here, and the jig kind of held it in place. Very flimsy, very, oh, I don't know. It worked. That's all that counts. So we're just, we arc welded the inside for strength, and now we're coming in with the MIG welder because it's so pretty. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we want to see how level it is, because the legs are, hopefully the legs are all the same length. Looks pretty good so far. That's pretty close. I mean, it's got a little bit of rocking going on, but hey, I can live with that. And, well, we're going to wait for this to cool off before we do anything else. Okay, that's on a level platform, and as far as I can tell, that looks pretty level on top. And even if it isn't, we can fiddle around with the legs a little bit. Probably the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take a piece of, probably 3.5 inch material, cut it wafer thin, maybe 1/4 inch, cut 4 of them, and then dome it just slightly and put it on each one of those legs so I can drag it around, and yet so it's kind of stable. So we will do that tomorrow. I'll be back. Okay, in order to make feet for this, we're cutting thin wafers off of this 3.5 inch bar stock, and then we're going to bend them just slightly, give it just a slight bit of an arch, and then weld them to the bottoms of the feet. And once this, I've done 3 of them so far. This is the 4th one. We're going to weld them to the feet here as soon as this is done. We'll be back. Okay, next phase of this little operation is to take this this wafer of a piece of steel and lay it over the top of my dapping block. Put a couple of spacers in between it. Make sure it's centered. Bring this down. So we get it to bind. There's bind, and I'm going to go 5 pumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that should give us a little bit of an arch. Just a slight bit. Just enough to slide on the floor and not grab anything. So there's 2. Okay, and there's 3, just a little bit of an arch. And here comes the 4th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably the easiest part of this whole thing. There's 5 of them. All right, let's go over to the actual mechanisms. All right, we're going to hone in on one. Drop our disc underneath it. Well, good morning, Nick Collier here, and did I fuck up? Oh my God, the ultimate, the granddaddy of all fuck ups. And it comes from, you know, from shooting from the hip, sort of machining. And I'm going to bring you a little closer here and show you what happened, and we'll go from there, okay? Okay, so the whole concept of this approach that I took here is that the motor floats up and down on the shaft as I adjust the height of the rollers. Well, guess what? First, these legs are too close together, so the housing hits on that. Then, you know, and I could deal with that. That's not a problem. But if you look closely, you'll see that there's about 2 inches of space between the top of this and the bottom of the plate that is actually holding it, and that is not enough room. And yes, I could put a larger gear down below here, and that would probably work. But the other problem is that if I adjust it, and I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if you can. Not so much. If I adjusted this up much higher, you can see how the wheel starts pulling away and rising up. And there's times when I would adjust it to higher. And so consequently the motor would not attach. So pretty much this whole approach is shit canned. And we take and start it fresh. And so you know, and I can use some of the parts. Was certainly the now defunct hoist is out of business. Yeah, I could just build a new shaft for it and put it back together again, and it will still be functional. And I'll probably do that someday, but for right now I'm not going to do that. Now, I was looking on YouTube the other day. Well, in fact, one of my subscribers led me to this YouTube site. These guys build attachments for this particular rolling mill. And one of the attachments is a power feed. And I'm like, oh, this is easy. So I went and bought myself a power feed. And this is a, what is it? It's a pipe thread that, you know, kind of a hand operated pipe thread. So I'm going to take the pipe part of it off of it. Let's put that on the floor and hook up the pipe to the shaft. Let me put the shaft back in. So then basically all I need to do is build myself an adapter here for here, and probably just weld it to this, and then slide this on, and it would be ready to go, and crank it up, and it will do the power for this. And it's so simple. You know, why didn't I think of this before? Before I spent $150 on this the hoist, which I could still use in certain situations, and then another $150 on this baby. Hell, at this point, I could have went and bought an official version, motorized version of this. But hey, part of the fun of, you know, putting something together and developing it from scratch. So, you know, for the moment, we're taking this whole thing back apart again. We're going to put it back together again, one step at a time. And all the videos you've been watching, well, they were fun to watch. And there we go. This is Nick Collier. We're checking out for now, but we'll be back.